Love X Revenge. On this channel, you will find gripping love stories, emotional tales of loyalty and betrayal, life-changing dramas, and romantic narratives inspired by real events. Here, fate collides with secrets, hearts are tested by truth, and ordinary people face extraordinary twists that change their lives forever. The rain began without warning, hammering the quiet street like a storm determined to erase every sound of the night. Daniel Carter stood by his living room window, staring into the darkness, his hand wrapped around a mug of cold coffee he had forgotten to drink. The house was silent except for the soft breathing of his daughter, Lily, asleep upstairs. Loneliness had become his constant companion since his wife's death 2 years earlier. Friends had slowly drifted away, conversations had grown shorter, and evenings felt heavier than mornings. Daniel had learned to survive, not to live. Then came the knock. It was faint at first, almost lost beneath the roar of thunder. Daniel frowned, setting the mug down. No one ever came this late. He walked to the door, his heart pounding with a strange mix of caution and curiosity. Another knock came, harder this time. He opened the door. A woman stood on his porch, soaked to the bone, her dark hair plastered to her face, her eyes wide with fear. She looked young, maybe late 20s, trembling not just from the cold but from something deeper. "Please," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I don't have anywhere else to go." Daniel hesitated. Every instinct told him to be careful. But something in her eyes wasn't dangerous, it was desperate. "Come in," he said quietly. She stepped inside, water dripping onto the floor. Daniel handed her a towel and guided her to the couch. Lily's door creaked upstairs, and he felt a sudden surge of protectiveness. "I'm Daniel," he said. "Eva," she replied, her hands shaking as she wrapped the towel around herself. He didn't ask questions that night. He made tea, gave her dry clothes, and let her sleep on the couch while he stayed awake in the armchair, listening to the storm fade into silence. He didn't know that opening his door would change everything. The next morning, Eva was already awake, staring at the sunlight as if it were something unfamiliar. "Thank you," she said softly. "I'll leave soon." "You don't have to rush," Daniel replied. "You looked like you needed help." She nodded but didn't explain. Days turned into weeks. Eva stayed longer than planned. She helped Daniel with Lily, cooked dinner, cleaned the house, and slowly became part of their quiet routine. Lily adored her, laughing more than she had in months. Daniel felt something he hadn't allowed himself to feel since his wife died, a fragile warmth, dangerous yet comforting. But Eva carried shadows. Sometimes she flinched when a car slowed near the house. Sometimes she stared at her phone as if expecting a message she dreaded. Daniel noticed, but he didn't push. He had learned that some wounds healed only when touched gently. One evening, while Lily was asleep, Eva finally spoke. "I didn't tell you why I came here," she said, her voice trembling. Daniel sat beside her, waiting. "I was running," she continued. "From someone powerful. Someone who doesn't forgive betrayal." Daniel frowned. "Betrayal?" Eva looked down. "I worked for him, not like a normal job. He was involved in things I didn't understand at first. When I found out the truth, I tried to leave. He didn't like that." Daniel felt a chill. "What kind of truth?" She hesitated. "Illegal business. Dangerous people." The air between them grew heavy. "Why come to my house?" Daniel asked. Eva met his eyes. "Because I didn't have anyone else. And because I thought no one would look for me here." Daniel wanted to believe her, but something didn't add up. The truth revealed itself sooner than he expected. One night, Daniel returned home from work to find his front door slightly open. His heart raced. He rushed inside. "Lily," he shouted. "She's upstairs." Eva's voice came from the living room. Daniel froze when he saw her. Her face was pale, her hands shaking, her phone lying on the table. "They found me," she whispered. Before he could ask anything, headlights flashed through the windows. A black car stopped outside. Daniel felt fear he hadn't felt in years. "Go upstairs," Eva said urgently. "Stay with Lily. Lock the door." "What about you?" Daniel asked. She looked at him with a strange mix of guilt and determination. "I started this. I'll finish it." But Daniel didn't move. The knock on the door came again, this time confident, commanding. Daniel opened it. A tall man in a dark suit stood outside, flanked by two others. His smile was polite but cold. "Good evening," he said. "I'm looking for someone." Daniel swallowed. "You have the wrong house." The man's eyes shifted past him, scanning the interior. "May I come in?" Daniel felt something inside him snap. "No," he said firmly. The man smiled wider. "You don't understand who you're dealing with." Before Daniel could respond, Eva stepped forward. "I'm here," she said. The man's expression changed instantly. His politeness vanished, replaced by something dangerous. "Eva," he said softly. "You made this difficult." Daniel looked at her, confused and hurt. "Who is he?" he asked. Eva took a deep breath. "He's not just someone powerful," she said. "He's my father." The words hit Daniel like a blow. Her father stepped inside without permission. "Correction," he said calmly. "I'm not just her father. I'm the man who built an empire she tried to destroy." Daniel stared at Eva. "Destroy?" She nodded slowly. "I stole evidence from him. Files, records, names. I gave them to the authorities. I thought it would end everything." Her father laughed softly. "It didn't." Daniel felt the ground shift beneath his feet. "You brought danger into my house," he said quietly. Eva's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't plan to. I just didn't want to run anymore." Her father stepped closer to Daniel. "You're a good man," he said. "A lonely man. A single father trying to protect his child. Admirable. But naive." Daniel clenched his fists. "You have two choices," the man continued. "Give her to me, and your life returns to normal. Or protect her, and become part of her war." Silence filled the room. Daniel looked at Eva. He saw not a criminal, not a traitor, but a woman who had risked everything to expose evil. A woman who had laughed with his daughter, cooked in his kitchen, brought warmth back into his home. He remembered the night she knocked on his door. And he made his choice. "She stays," Daniel said. Eva's father's smile disappeared. "So be it," he said quietly. The next weeks were chaos. Strange cars appeared on their street. Daniel received anonymous threats. His workplace was visited by men asking questions. Fear became part of daily life. But something else grew stronger too. Love. Daniel and Eva became closer than either of them expected. They shared secrets, fears, and